Hello, KL. It's that time of the week again. I have a story called The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken. This book is not even processed yet. It just came into the library this morning, and I saw it and read it and thought it was so funny. It is written by Jennifer Frank, and the illustrator is David Ezra Stein. The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken. Mrs. Worm lay at the top of a giant dirt pile watching her children play. They were wriggling their bodies into all kinds of delightful shapes. She hoped she'd always remember how squirmy, slimy, and cute they were at this age. But she did not have a very good memory because her brain was so tiny. "I know," she declared. "I'll have our picture taken." The very next day, Mrs. Worm called Mr. Muskrat, the photographer, to arrange a time. Then she told her family. "That is so cool," the oldest, Emma, exclaimed. She loved the idea of being able to see herself hanging on the wall every day. Emma could hardly wait to tell her friend Ellie. "How splendiferous!" squealed Ellie. Looks like Ellie is a beaver to me. We had our picture taken last year and it was amazing. We had the most beautiful smiles. "Cool," said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have teeth. How would they have beautiful smiles in their picture? "Oh well," she decided, "we will still have a nice way to remember our family." On her way home, Emma bumped into her friend Abigail and told her about the family portrait. "Too fabulous," meowed Abigail. "I just love having my picture taken. My human always takes me to the beauty salon first so that my big poofy hair will look especially gorgeous." "Cool," said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have hair. How could they look poofy and gorgeous in their picture? "Oh well," she decided, "we will still have a nice way to remember our family." As she continued on her way, Emma was feeling a bit less excited. At the forsythia bush, she saw her friend Olivia sitting on a branch. Emma told her about the portrait. "Ooh, wowee," squeaked Olivia and flitted high above Emma's head. "My family took one of those just last week, and all our colors made it look like a rainbow." "Cool," said Emma sadly as Olivia fluttered away on the breeze. She was already thinking about how worms are just one color. Her family was beautiful, she knew they were, but there would be no bright colors in their picture. "Oh well," she decided, "we will still have a nice way to remember our family." But the rest of the trip home, Emma couldn't help feeling much less excited. As Emma fell asleep that night, she thought about what her friends had said. How was her family going to make their portraits special? When she woke up, she had an idea. The day of the photo shoot arrived, and Emma had a surprise for everyone. Pretty, her little sisters squealed excitedly. Mr. and Mrs. Worm were less sure. Their new look was not comfortable. Even though the Worm family arrived at the studio on time, Mr. Muskrat would not take their picture. "I'm sorry," he said. "I have an appointment with a family of worms. You'll have to come back another day." "But we are the family of worms," said Mrs. Worm. Look at the size difference. The photographer laughed. "For one thing, worms do not have teeth," he said. Mrs. Worm quickly instructed her family to spit out their fake teeth. "And they do not have hair," said Mr. Muskrat. The family took off their wigs. And they most definitely are not colorful. The family undressed. "Ah," they all said. "Oh," said Mr. Muskrat, looking very surprised. "I'm terribly sorry I didn't recognize you." Then together, the Worm family wriggled and squiggled and squeezed into a delightful pose only a worm family could make. Mr. Muskrat snapped the picture, the first of many annual portraits they've taken. Do you see what they squiggled and squirmed into? A word. What does it say? C-H-E. You got it. E-S-E. What does that spell? C-H-E-E-S-E. Cheese. Cheese. The next morning, Emma sat with her family, admiring the portrait now hanging in their worm hideaway. "It's perfectly perfect," she whispered, and she would have reached out and given them a great big hug if she'd had arms. The worm family has its picture taken. Well, most of us are like that. We want to look different than we do sometimes. But we all know that we're all beautiful. We all have talents that others don't share. Sorry. And we have to figure it all out. I need some water. Okay, KL, have a wonderful day. See you next week.